But as far as the business side of college, I was, kind of got out of it. Went to work as a cart boy at a golf course summer of my freshman year, and then did that the summer. And then the next summer around, I was introduced to multi-level marketing.
Oh yeah.
Had no clue what it was, never heard of it before, and it was a company called Excel Communications, and they sold.
Now what year was this?
2001.
Okay, so this was
Boom.
this was kind of, I'm trying to think that, I mean, cell phones obviously nowhere near where they are now, but try to place that. I mean, where was that in the life of the cell phone?
I had a cell phone in 2001, but I wasn't allowed to call long distance on it.
Okay.
So, like, to call home, I still had to use calling cards, prepaid long distance calling cards, and don't use the cell phone. Long distance was very much still a thing, like the 10 cent a minute. By 2001, it had gotten down to 5 cent a minute. And so, calling long distance from the house was still a thing. And so Excel's business model was, back, I can't remember what it was. It was like in the early 90s or late 80s, or when you went to call long distance in the 80s, like AT&T or Bell South was the only option. The government came in and deregulated the long distance industry and said, okay, we're going to force competition. And so all these companies could come in and then compete for long distance service. And Excel was one of those companies, and they promoted their business through a network of individuals, independent representatives who go out and get customers, friends, family members, whatever, and then the company would pay bonuses if you go recruit other people to go get their friends and family on the long distance. And the independent reps got paid by getting a little percentage of their customers' phone bills every month. And so that was the business model. And so Excel came in and just really disrupted the market by creating this direct sales marketing strategy. And I was introduced to it my sophomore year in college, and I remember going to the meeting. Just like multi-level marketing, people host these little meetings or get-togethers or whatever, and they pitch the business opportunity. And for me, it seemed really simple. It was basically, hey, in your spare time, go get your friends and family members to switch over from Bell South to Excel. They're paying 10 cent a minute with Bell South for the long distance. We got this plan that's, it was called the nickel plan or something, at 5 cent a minute. You can save them a little money on their long distance, and you'll start getting paid a little percentage of their phone bills. So not only will they be saving money on their long distance, they'll be helping you out by helping you make a little money by getting a little residual income off of their phone bill every month. And so that's the first thing you do. And then once you've built up, 20 customers or so, then if you want to, you can go recruit other college students to sign up as a rep, and then teach them how to go out and get customers just like you did, and then teach them how to recruit other college students. So made sense to me. I said, hey, I can do it. Jumped in at full blast, and within 2 years, I had thousands of college students under me in the at the time you didn't use the word pyramid, but
right.
in the pyramid,
right?
And they all had a certain number of customers. So within 2 years, I was and you had all these promotions, or you get a certain number of reps or a certain number of customers, you get promoted. And so I had moved up to, I believe it was called regional director or something like that, and was getting paid on thousands of long distance phone bills, and then you got these bonuses every time a new rep would sign up. And man, it was fun. We would, me and Josh Pope, my buddy that was had the loan business, we were doing it together, and we had recruited some other young guys that really, heck, some of them like dropped out of college, and I mean it was really disruptive what we were doing, and we had created little sales organizations at every campus. So we had one going at Georgia College, we had one going at UGA, we had one at Mercer, we had one at Georgia Southern.
Conquering the world, baby.
Yeah, and so we would come into town, and the reps there would get the meeting set up and everything. We'd come in, and my buddy Josh actually had a Hummer, a real Hummer, the big ones. And so we'd roll in the Hummer and get out and talk about how you can make money and doing it on the side, and then if you wanted to get real serious with it, you could make a lot of money. And the kids probably thought I was making a lot more money than I really was. I was making, still in college. I mean, I was making $3,000 or $4,000, $5,000 a month.
Yeah, but what was your best month? It was a lot better than that.
Yeah, but
you don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
I don't. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't care. But
close to the chest.
But yeah, so it was great, man. It was fun. We would go to the conventions, and there were guys. There were guys there that had started in the early '90s, and there were some guys that were making, like, one guy made $1 million a month for 30 months in a row.
My God.
And they were at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And so that kind of stuff, they'd get you all pumped up, and that would fuel everybody to go out and recruit more people and get more customers. And man, it was so young, didn't know what I was doing, so it went on, and even I can't remember exactly when, but somewhere around when I was graduating college and getting out and into the real world, I was thinking I was just going to continue with that. I got to the point to where I was starting to feel some conviction about just talking about money all the time. And I started getting a lot of people under me that were looking up to me. And I think I probably go back to what my mom used to tell me about. People are always watching you. Make sure that you're leading people the right way. And I started thinking, man, if any of these kids that are listening to me think that by what I'm saying that money is the key to happiness, or the key, or that having more money will give you, if your goal and your drive and everything is nothing but just strictly making money, I didn't want to give that sense, because that's not true in my opinion. And so I started struggling with that, and I even got to the point to where in my presentations I would say things like, you probably shouldn't do this, and this really isn't for everybody, and you're probably not going to make any money doing it because it's so hard, and so many people, when you approach them, are going to tell you no because of the multi-level marketing stigma, and that just made people want to do it more, because I was telling them they didn't want to do it.
That's this guy.
They
right
shouldn't
here.
do it.
If you tell this guy you can't do it,
Yeah.
he's gonna want to do it more.
And so it just kept growing, I really got to the point to where I just made the decision that I wanted to move in a different direction, and that was the main reason. Was I was convicted about that, and so that was right along that timeline is when, I ran into a guy named Jeremy Hobbs, who's, still my best friend to this day, and jumped ship and jumped into the real estate world with him. And, looking back, it ended up being the right decision because shortly thereafter, the cell phone unlimited dial call anywhere just completely destroyed that whole long distance market.
Yeah.
And so my getting paid on those long distance phone bills went away pretty quickly. And so, I'm so thankful for the experience, and it was a great thing. But looking back, I ended up kind of taking the right path to jump into the real estate.
So let's talk about MLMs for a minute, okay?
Throw some stones.
Just for a minute.
Throw some stones.
You just got to do it. I mean, look.
You had an experience. Are you going to talk about yours?
I'm going to talk about my experience. It was a painful one.
Speaking of painful.
Very painful. What? What's wrong with you, bro?
I got a cramp.
You got a cramp? Straighten your leg out. Stretch it. Stretch it out. Come on.
Those deadlifts.
Here's the deal. And I really, I want your take on this too.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. Little sound check, little sound adjustment here.
Sound adjustment.
Go ahead, go ahead, dude.
Yeah,
Little,
that's better.
yeah.
You like
There
that?
you go.
I got too
I like
loud
it.
there
I
for a
like it.
second.
Yeah, for a minute. Okay.
All right.
In my opinion, I think the business model, I do believe that it's legitimate. I mean, obviously it's legitimate because there are tons of companies that are doing it and have been doing it and have been successful with that business model for a long time. Here's my beef with it. Here's my issue with it, okay? In my opinion, again, some people might not like this opinion, but it's my opinion. Out of 50 people that sign up to distribute, to sell the product, I believe that 49 out of those 50 are doing it for the wrong reasons. And it's exactly like what you're saying. It's strictly money. It's because in a way I feel like it's sold as kind of a get rich quick thing. Hey, you can do this. It's very easy to do. You just recruit this person, that person, that person, and then they recruit 2 or 3 people, then they recruit 2 or 3 people, and voila, you're making $1 million a month. And it doesn't happen that way. So I think that's my biggest issue with it. And for me, I was one of those. And I also think that 1 out of 50 people sign up because they really believe in the product or the service or whatever it is, and they're trying to help people. Great. I got no issue with that. So for me, here's my story. I was probably 23, 22, working, as a personal trainer, managing 2 locations at a gym. So there were a lot of trainers that I was hiring and managing and stuff like that. And I was targeted, which I constantly get targeted by MLM companies. And what I'm going to do is from now on, I just had this idea as you were telling your story. I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to direct people from now on, every time I get a call to this podcast, and I'm going to say, go to minute number whatever.
We'll do an excerpt.
And I'll explain to you why I'm not going to do your MLM product at my gym. I'm going to explain it to you fully. So, 22, 23 years old, sign up for Monavi, right?
What is that?
Come on, man. You don't know about Monavi?
Magic juice. The acai berry. I can still hear the introductory, because you have these meetings, right? I mean, you get together and you recruit people to your meeting, and then you play this introductory video, and it's really well done, and it's Monavi, the secret acai berry of the Brazilian forest, whatever the thing is, right? And I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I want $1 million a month, don't you? Don't you want $1 million a month? Sure. It could happen tomorrow, and it's going to be great. And so what I did was I went to all of my friends, all of my family, told them that I was going to be a millionaire and that if they, jumped in, they would too, and all this stuff. And I just embarrassed myself, bro. I totally embarrassed myself. And so that was just such a painful experience for me that I vowed never again will I ever do this type of business, never again. I mean, I was so, anyway, it hurt me, and I feel like it hurt my reputation. There are still friends, still to this day, there are friends that I think about. If I were to have a conversation with them, that would be kind of the beginning lens of our conversation, in my opinion, that they would view me as, oh, that guy that, sold me on Monavie or whatever. And that sucks.
Did you get anyone to join?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I was not nearly as successful as Duke. I'm not a natural salesperson. I've gotten better at it. I think Duke is more of a natural salesperson. And I also think the product that you were selling.
That's what I was going to say.
I think the product that you were selling
It sounds legit.
It sounds more of a legitimate, hey, you really were like actually solving people's problems. Again, back to my opinion, most of the nutritional MLMs out there, they're a dime a dozen, man. And there's no regulation. There's no FDA involvement with supplements. You can put whatever you want in them. And all you have to do is throw a doctor's name on it, like Dr. Mercola or Dr. whoever, and now you're totally legit, right? That's my experience. So, hey, if you're watching this and you got an MLM product and you want it in Creed, it's not going to happen. So just don't call me, please. Just don't.
Well, go ahead.
Okay. I've not done another one since Excel, and I probably will never do another one. But I'm always hesitant to knock it too hard because looking back, man, it taught me so much. And honestly, I think the problem is that, most, like you said, it's the promise of the get rich quick thing. That's the problem. And bigger than that is, entrepreneurialism is not for everybody. It's actually not for most people. And, most small businesses fail. And, when you try to just market it to everybody, and it's just destined for failure because people were not made to be entrepreneurs. A lot of people aren't. And, so, I look back and I think about all the people that signed up that it's like when you just knew they weren't going to make it, and that's part of the problem, for someone like, myself who, I could handle objection we used to say, you got to meet with 10 people every day. You have to have 10 presentations a day, and you got to expect for 9 people to reject you. All right? And you just got to go through the nose to get to your yes. That was kind of what we promoted, and so, most people can't handle that type of rejection. And so I'm careful to knock it because, like I said, if somebody goes for it and a lot of these, there are a lot of success stories out there where there are some, heck, some of these companies have been around for, 30, 40 years, and, they've solved problems and they have good products but the negative connotations that come along with it are enough to keep me away from it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. For me, I was one of those that I was not a good fit. Even though I own a business now, I still don't know that I'm an entrepreneur. I still don't know that I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I never would have started a business had it not been for my original business partner who convinced, my original business partner was kind of like a Duke Gibbs, and Dante I borrowed his belief. I borrowed his belief that we could be successful, and he proved it to me very shortly after we started the business that we could be successful. And so from there, that kind of gave me the confidence, sort of the proof of, hey, we can do this. But before meeting him and before starting this business, I think now if I were to sign up for an MLM now and go for it, I may be more successful with it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I was one of those that immediately was not going to be successful. At that point in my life, I don't think I could have, like you said, I don't think I could have handled, or I couldn't. I couldn't handle that much rejection at that point in my life. Now I'm at a different place, but then for sure, was not ready for that. And that's what it takes.
I think what bothers me most about them, if we're kind of painting with a broad brush, is like you said, you go to the conference or you go to the meeting and someone says, you'll make this much money, or this is the potential. And there is a ton of potential, especially if you're selling a good product like you were. There's a lot of upside. The problem is it's over communicated how much money you can make and how likely it is that you'll make that. From the higher ups, the pyramid is a pyramid. Like the person making $1 million a month for 30 months, like you said, he was at the top of the pyramid. Once you're, 5 years into one of those companies or whatever, however many years it is, the potential is so small. And the fact that that's communicated that you could be this too. Well, you'd have to stay, the company would have to stay open long enough. And 2, you'd have to stay there the entire time. And it's just, it doesn't seem realistic to me that's possible. I've watched some serious YouTubes on MLMs that kind of tear them up, and they're really entertaining.
Little bro science action.
Little bro science.